Let's get this live streamed. All right. Thanks for joining, folks, for another iteration of Ask Us Anything. This is where Andy and I hang out, give you a couple quick updates, and then spend the rest of the time answering whatever questions you got. If you're joining us on YouTube or LinkedIn, we will also see your comments and be able to answer those questions. If you're on Zoom, feel free to use the Q&A box and we'll get to those whenever we get a chance. We'll try to make it through all the questions. Oftentimes we can't because there's too many, but we'll do our best. So without further ado, let's get into some updates. So go ahead, Andy. I think you are first. Do we want to wait a couple minutes to give people time to trickle in?
Yeah, let's just hang out for a minute or two. If y'all have questions, you can start dumping them in the Q&A now, and we'll pick them up once we're done with the content piece in the beginning.
Yeah, let's just wait a couple of minutes. People are still coming in, so then we'll jump into some updates. But yeah, like Andy said, feel free to start putting your questions in or your comments in, regardless of where you're watching from, and we will get to those once we get to the updates. So hang tight for, I don't know, 2 minutes, and then we'll get started.
Oh, and I hope Emily doesn't show up because I still haven't had a chance to watch my Monty Python stuff yet. So I'm gonna get shamed again.
I haven't either. Last time our CEO Emily joined and made a bunch of Monty Python jokes, and neither Andy nor I picked up on them.
Yeah, that did not go well.
Yeah, shame. I haven't seen them since I was a kid.
Yeah, same. I don't remember them. And I'm sure what I do remember, I didn't understand as an adult. All right, one more minute, we'll get started. All right, I think that's good. I think I don't see any more people trickling in. So first thing I want to talk about today is our Acronis, what we're calling our Acronis relaunch. When we launched Acronis initially about a year ago now, we did so with limited SKUs in tow. We had about 8 or 9 SKUs that we made available to folks. We've seen so much growth with Acronis over the past year that we've been able to leverage all sorts of interesting things with them, and they all came to fruition at the same time. So we kind of pushed them all out at the same time. First is that we've expanded that line to support the entire breadth and depth of the full Acronis Cyber Protect line. So all the advanced packs, sending in physical drives for data seeding, NAS support, you name it. Every single SKU that they offer is now available to purchase through Syncro. On top of that, we are now officially one of the only resellers of Acronis that has secured direct support from Acronis. So any Acronis support related issue is no longer funneled through Syncro. You can take it directly to them in their support portal. And because we've done so well with Acronis, we've actually been able to secure better pricing as well. So we have every intention of passing those savings on to you all. Now, our current pricing, which remains extremely aggressive, is the same. There's no commits, no minimums, no terms you have to agree to. If you just want to back up one workstation, you can do that and get that same pricing. Besides that, we've also introduced 2 new pricing tiers. One is at $250 and there is another at $1,000. All you need to do to qualify is hit that spend and you'll automatically be moved into that respective tier. For folks who are already at those levels and spending on Acronis through Syncro today, you're going to automatically be moved into those tiers as soon as today. Now, just like our $0 tier, these new tiers have no commits, no minimums, no terms, where and with most other resellers, you will have those things. So same rules apply regardless of what tier you're in. You're just going to get better pricing as you increase your spend. We've actually just updated those pricing tiers, and you can see them in the Acronis app card in the app center of your Syncro instance. Just remember that in order to see them, you have to physically be logged into the community forums to see pricing. It's the same login as your Syncro instance. And then last thing, of course, and we emailed this to everybody, we've got two pretty wicked promotions going on through November 30th, both for new accounts spinning up Acronis or accounts that have spun it up and haven't really used it very much. And then there's a pretty wicked migration promo too. Check your email for that. For folks on another reseller, it's kind of pretty difficult to pass up. If anybody has any questions about it, you can either email me directly, andy@syncromsp.com, or our general Acronis email, which is acronis@syncromsp.com. On top of that, we are going to be putting on 4 different content webinars for Q4. First one is happening tomorrow at 2 o'clock Eastern time. We're going to have somebody from Acronis on. They're going to be talking about, again, the full breadth and depth of the Cyber Protect line. So if you know of Acronis, but you want to learn more, that's the one you don't want to miss. In November, we are going to have Acronis on again to talk about the best ways to sell backups into your base. I will be there offering some insights as well. And then we have 2 webinars, which are identical. We're just putting it on twice for folks that aren't able to attend one or the other. First one's in late November, next one's in early December. We'll obviously announce dates well ahead of time. And there you're going to be able to actually get certified in Acronis itself. It's a full certification course, and you'll receive an official certification if you attend that. So that's a good one to have your techs attending as well. Shifting gears here, talk about some community-driven development track developments. Since the last time we all met. First is a new addition to the agent contact form. So previously, when you had an agent contact form, which is a customizable form that sits in the notification tray for your customers to fill out for any manner of things, opens a ticket in your Syncro instance, this used to not send them an email when they opened a ticket. It would say in the form, hey, it was successfully sent. Here's the next steps. We had a lot of folks saying, hey, listen, somebody might want to add something to the ticket or track it, and it's not in their email to do that. So now it's going to follow the same format as somebody opening a ticket via email. They're going to get a notification just like they would through any of the other ticket mediums. The next one I can show you, second here. Sorry, technical difficulties, live demo. Here we go. First one is this. It's kind of a stupid thing, but we've actually had the ability to process customer statements forever, like before I was even here. This used to just be a little PDF icon. Nobody knew what it was for. I only learned what it was for like 6 months ago. So we expanded this, so now everyone knows what it is. We get asked this all the time. Hey, do you guys do statements? We do. So on the customer record, if you drop this down now, you have an option to email a statement. And when you view the statement, this is what they're going to see. Basically just a PDF of everything that is due in terms of invoices, along with the total that's due. And it'll break it up to like different categories of what's past due, depending on the date range, so they can see that as well. So for anybody that didn't know that we had that, it's now here. It's a little more prevalent than it was before. Now, the other one, that's the 2 things that we've done. I want to talk about a couple of things that are in development. I'm not really supposed to show you this, but we are adding this. This was another recent winner from the community-driven development track. This is our ticket save searches. And you can now, well, you will be able to now add in created dates and resolved dates. So it should be really easy to run through like your approved post process. If you just want to say, look, I need to evaluate the tickets that happened in the past week, the past 2 weeks based on all this criteria. Simply save this as a new search, and it's one-click access to views that now can be scoped to date ranges, both for created date and resolved date of your tickets. The other 2 I don't have to show you, but I can talk about. One's pretty self-explanatory. It's the ability to pause ticket timers. We've been asked for that as long as I've been here, and we finally are doing it. So I'm happy that that one's coming out. And then the next one is the applied policy report. So when we did policy inheritance, we built in a way where if you go to delete a policy, it checks and it looks and sees if it's currently in use anywhere. And if it's not, you can delete it. If it is, it says, hey, you can't delete it, it's in use. We did not add where it's in use. So if you have like 1,000 endpoints, you have to go look at 1,000 endpoints, try to figure out where it's applied in its effective policy. And long story short, that was annoying. So we're adding a report where you can say, hey, here's the policy I want to identify. Show me every endpoint that currently has this policy as part of its effective policy, and it will show up in a list. I think the pause ticket timers is further along than the applied policy report, but these are both now under active development. So I will definitely see them in Q4. I don't have an exact time frame for you, but not very far off at all. So Ian, back to you.
Okay, this is just quick. I know people are going to ask about it, so I just want to, if you don't already know this, or if you were wondering, single sign-on and global IP allow list for all users, not just standard users, so including admins, are in early access. So they are actively being used by Syncro users, and that's going well. So those are making lots of progress and should get expanded at some point soon. But just wanted to let folks know those are being used. So the features are built, and we're having fun seeing people watch them. Having fun watching people use them. Okay, a couple other things, and then we'll jump into questions. We recently, let me share this link, worked with the channel program on an MSP technology ecosystem map. This is actually kind of cool. I'm going to put it in the chat, and then I will also put it in case you're watching from YouTube or LinkedIn. I will also put it there. So this is basically a map of everyone we could find that was a vendor in the MSP space by category. I think what's cool about this is that if you are, say, wanting to check out and see if you have all the cybersecurity tools that you need, or if you're looking to improve your operations, you probably know a lot of vendors out there. You probably hear about a lot of vendors. But this gives you kind of a complete list so that you can say, okay, I'm going to go check out this one, this one, this one, and this one, and then go do some more research. It's just going to save you a bunch of time. So that was fun to put together. I was kind of surprised how crazy the cybersecurity section was. So many logos. Anyway, hopefully that's helpful. Next thing is we are giving a webinar with Andrew Moon about efficiency essentials for MSPs, and that would be taking place on November 2nd at 2 p.m. Eastern. Let me put the link for that also in the chat. So if you're interested in improving your efficiency and performance, that's a free webinar you can attend and check out what Andrew has to say. Okay. That is all I got. So we can jump into questions. There are a couple that I already saw that I can talk through. So Gary has a question about the status of rich text, and somebody else also asked about it, Jeremy. We actually made a statement yesterday about rich text. I'm literally gonna, our CTO, Kristen, wrote this. I'm literally gonna copy and paste it just into the chat, because there's no point in me like reading it out loud to you. But why won't it let me do that in Zoom? That's weird. Okay, I am going to read it out loud to you. I wanted to provide an update on this issue and give some more detail on what has happened with the line break issue and where we are in the fix. In late August, we deployed a series of updates to the rich text system in our continued effort to improve the performance and functionality. The update exposed an existing bug in a third-party library we use for text processing and emails, and highlighted a problem with text processing for certain email clients. The dev team deployed some changes in early October that addressed the bug within the third-party library, which mitigated the line break issue for a subset of partners, but did not fully solve the wider line break issue that partners are observing in their email communications. I'm going to summarize a little bit. Basically, the engineering team is looking into it. They're going to their goal is to complete all of this by the end of October, and they're going to give an update this Friday, the 27th. So lots of progress happening on that. We've actually added more engineering resources to it to help it move along faster. So definitely stuff happening there. And hopefully that is what Gary wanted to hear. I think you're muted, Andy.
Wow. Yeah, Jeremy was also just adding a note to that he really appreciated the fact that that we put that out to give everybody a status on where that's at.
Yeah. Yep. Another question from Gary. Gary has a lot of questions. That's a good thing. Have there been any improvements or plans for Power BI reports? Yes. So if you have requests for Power BI reports, send them our way. We can add stuff to the Power BI reports. I will say it's one thing to add additional charts based on the data that is already in there, or data sets that are already in there. It is another thing to pull in additional data sets. So for context, the Power BI integration is using our API. So if the data is not in our API, then we cannot build a chart in Power BI for it. So for example, you mentioned there's missing asset information. Well, we can add more information, but not all the information about assets is in the API. So it really depends what you want to see. So if you can get specific, I want to see a chart that is a bar chart and it shows the number of RMM alerts from these assets over time, like that kind of thing, that's perfect. We can build that stuff. Just let us know.
I'm gonna let you take the next two since they're both team plan related.
Yes. Gary also asks about the export to MySQL. The answer to this, and he says there's some missing data from the exports. That's actually the exact same answer as Power BI. So the MySQL integration also uses our API. So if it is in our API, we can send it to MySQL. If it is not in the API, we cannot. So what would be helpful is for you to let us know, similar to Power BI, what data you want exported, and then we can look and see if that's possible. Okay, last question from Gary. Azure AD Sync, will other license types be added to the contact sync? So we now have visibility into the licenses, whether they show up or not in the dropdown. So if you are seeing that a license is not showing up, please tell us what, basically what we need to know is what contact under which customer you are seeing the license not show up for. And then we can go look in our debug logs and we can see what the license is that's missing. And then we can add that quite easily. So basically tell us which contact is not syncing in the dropdown.
Yeah, we've got a question from Nathan on LinkedIn. He's saying, is it normal I can't see the links you mentioned you put in chat? So Nathan, it's getting put into the Zoom chat, which is like if you registered for the webinar, it's not going to come through the live streams, unfortunately. We don't have a way to
yeah, it does show up actually if you're on the YouTube stream. So if you're on LinkedIn and you'd like to switch to YouTube,
right?
I will, well, I can't post a link for you because you can't see links. If you go on YouTube, you go to the Syncro YouTube channel, you'll see we're live streaming right now. And there you will be able to see the links.
Harvey's asking, thanks for sharing the statement button. We don't want to search, open, and email statements for each client. We want to schedule automated statements to be sent out each month based on a customer search. How do we get there? Harvey, can you elaborate a bit on that? I'm trying to understand, because normally you'd send a statement when like they owe you a bunch of money and they're not paying. Normally, I mean, they would just obviously send in payments for the invoices you send. So are you having like an issue where you're having like certain subsets of customers who are perpetually late to pay? And if so, let me know, because if it's something else, I want to make sure I'm answering it right. The one thing you can do in the meantime is you could obviously have them go into the customer portal, because that's going to show them everything that they owe and all the invoices and a payment link right there. Yeah, because I see yet another question about it, but it's kind of the same thing. So let me know if that's what you meant. Or you just want to, as a matter of normal practice, you just want to send them like a monthly statement or something, even if the invoices are not overdue. Let me know what you meant specifically there. Okay, and then Harvey's asking another question. We create estimates, they get approved, and we use the approved order filter to manage pending orders. After orders are invoiced, we need to be able to filter out invoiced estimates so we can continue to view only pending estimates. We would create tickets and mark tickets with an order status, but when you convert an estimate to a ticket, it drops off any estimate notes, causing critical information to be lost. Ian, do you understand this one better? Because normally the estimate information like winds up on the ticket, like you would put it in the ticket. So I think there might be a flow here I'm not understanding.
Yeah, it shouldn't get dropped. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe they should get in touch and we can have them talk to someone on our product team, because I'm not sure what field would get dropped.
Yeah, Harvey, do this. Send in a support request to help at, just let them help at syncromsp.com. Let them know you were in the AUA and we asked you to submit a request, and either they'll have the answer or they'll get it with our product folks to get an answer there. Let's see. Can we, okay, Philip is asking, can we get the ability to modify the estimate email template or email templates in general? Philip, you do have that ability now. Let me share my screen again. So if you go into your admin settings, it is under PDF email templates.
Mm-hmm.
And here's your estimate template. And you can modify this and create multiple templates and use different templates. And you can do the same thing for like invoices. You can even go in a customer record and say, hey, by default, this customer is going to use this particular template. And there's templates for like tickets. There's everything you, everything you see here is fully customizable. There's a whole litany of stuff you can modify here. So yeah, we definitely can do that now. And then you had a second question. Can you create an automated process for estimate approval where we send an estimate, customer should be able to review, click approve? Yeah, so that's, I don't know about the electronic signature piece though, but everything else, yes.
I think you can.
Is it using that scribble?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
At the very least, you can use Topaz, but that's in person, not.
Yeah. So, I mean, it wouldn't be integrated with like DocuSign or something like that, but there is the whole process of send an estimate, customer approves it, shows up as approved. You guys go ahead and turn it into a ticket and process that order. So yeah, that's definitely there as well.
Yeah, and I'll share. So what you're going to want to look at is the customer portal. So I will send the knowledge base article for that in the chat. Are there currently any updates coming to the API? Yes, we're working on a couple updates that I have wanted forever, and they're in progress right now, and it's awesome. So, the first update that's coming is, let me just share my screen. So this is our API docs in Swagger. On, what is it, ticket? There's this since updated at parameter, which is great because you when you're using the API and you don't want to pull every single item, you only want to pull something that's been updated since a certain timestamp, you can use this. The problem is it's only been on the tickets endpoint. We're adding it to most of the other endpoints. So that will make it far, far more efficient. So that is one thing. The other thing, and I'm a little bit going off the top of my head here, is on invoices right now, we don't tell you whether they were generated as a one-time invoice or if they were generated from a schedule, like a recurring invoice. So we're adding that in the invoices now, so you'll be able to tell. And then there was one other thing. On the invoices endpoint, we're adding a field for invoice synced. which will tell you whether it has synced to Xero or QuickBooks Online or not. So those are like really, really commonly requested API changes, and those are in progress and going to be released.
Ian, while we're on the topic of API, Jeremy's asking if there's any plans to add tags for customer ticket tags to the API.
I'm pretty sure that, well, Bobby is the person. Bobby knows that tags are. It's not just customers. It's for anything tags are on. So yeah, we know that they're not in there. I don't have a timeline on that, but I know Bobby knows about it.
Oops, Gary's talking about the AD sync thing again. He says that Microsoft E5 licenses aren't syncing. That's one of the things that aren't syncing for contacts.
Okay, I just need to know. I just need a contact, an example contact where the field's blank and it shouldn't be. Because I need there's a string in Microsoft that we're mapping to the drop down, and I need to know what this string is over here. So I need to basically look at the debug log. So I just need a contact. If you can send it, then that would be helpful.
Is that just going to you, Ian, like your email? What's the best way for him to get that to you?
They can send it to ian@syncromsp.com. That's fine.
Brandon's asking, can we modify the look and feel of the customer portal? I'm thinking pumpkins for Halloween. I like that idea, Brandon. You can't today. You can adjust like what you see in terms of the content. You can't adjust like the CSS and the general look and feel of it though. So that's something we don't have today. That's a good suggestion. API question, are you guys planning to add the feature of moving assets through policy folders using the API? Scott, the answer to that is no. That's been asked once or twice before. I think the main problem there is that if you make a mistake in bulk, that could cause catastrophic results. For example, if you accidentally move it into an endpoint managed by Bitdefender or something into a policy without it, and all of a sudden you uninstall Bitdefender across 5,000 endpoints type thing. So the two things I'm pretty sure we'll never do is that, and allow you to run scripts to the API just for the security of it.
There's also it's a huge attack vector. There's obviously what Andy said, which is the ability to make a mistake in bulk. But also other vendors use our API to create integrations. If we enable other vendors to make wholesale changes, or even one change to like run a script or remote into a machine or change a policy, which therefore could run a script or enable people to remote into a machine, and that vendor gets compromised, then they could essentially like run a ransomware installation script on all of the people using that integration's machines. So we will probably never do write access or like update access to anything related to scripts or policies. It's just too big of a security risk.
Philip's asking, when will direct technical support access to Acronis be available? Sorry, I lost my notes there. It is available now. So basically, if you've had a Syncro Acronis instance with us for a while, we gave that entire list to Acronis about a week ago, and they've been working through the bulk of them every day. And you'll get a support portal invite as soon as that yours has been processed. If it's a net new account, those have been happening for the past 2 weeks. So if you haven't gotten a support portal invite and you've had your Acronis instance set up and it's older than 2 weeks, it should be any day now. And then the second part of your question, the $250 and $1,000 levels will require an annual commit. No, that's one of the awesome things about Syncro. We do not operate Acronis like most other resellers do. There is no term, there is no commit, there is no anything. If you spend $500, you'll fall in the 250 tier automatically. If you drop back down to $50, you're just going to spend $50 on the $0 pricing tier. It's all automatic. There's no commits, there's no time commitments, there's no minimums. It's just getting you good pricing, period. So yeah, anything you hear from another reseller, it's not how it works on Syncro.
Got a question here from Gary as a follow-up on the API stuff. Given the answers for Power BI and exports point to the API, are there plans to improve the APIs to include more data and more functions of Syncro? I mean, we're always adding more data to the API. I mean, I just told you about 3 improvements we're making. So I think the answer to that is a little more nuanced because we are always improving the API. It's a little bit more about like, what data do you want to see in a Power BI or database export and why? And we may be able to solve that use case, but it would be hard for me to answer a blanket statement about like, are we? Well, I can give a blanket answer, which is yes, we do plan to continually improve the API, but whether that means we're going to solve your specific use case, that's going to be a little more nuanced. So if you can tell me more about what you'd like to see in Power BI, then I could probably answer that question more specifically.
Ian, do you understand the top question from Ben? I'm not sure what he's asking here.
No, I do not. I may have missed it. Is there a timeline for customer specific login captive portal custom for self-serve items?
Ben, can you just ask that question again and just elaborate on it a bit? So I'm not sure what you're talking about there, unfortunately.
Question here from Philip. I saw chatter about vanity domains a few months ago. Yeah, I'm assuming you mean for like customer portal and things like that. Yeah, and Philip says he's willing to pay the $50 a month. Unfortunately, you're in the minority. I think for context, it's a pretty heavy engineering lift. So like if we do that, we're making pretty significant trade-offs for other things we could build. And if only a very small percentage of people are willing to actually pay to cover the cost of the thing, then it's unlikely to happen. There are other ways of us accomplishing it that are potentially less expensive, but a lot more engineering work. So it is not on the short or medium term horizon as far as I know.
Harvey's asking, can we have automated remediations based on conditions of and plus or? Yeah, so the short answer is at some point, yes. It's not like on the immediate radar, but I think it falls much further than just being in automated remediations. I'd love to see it in all of our views and asset views and ticket views, customer views, and any kind of filter. I really want to see a and or like kind of operator or not even. To do what you're trying to do today, where you're basically saying you want to notify people on server down for different customers, you would just need to make basically dupe your automated remediation and just make a new one that's customer specific. There's no way today to say, hey, if one of these 5 customers has this happen, go off and do X. I do get why that would save time and having a bunch of additional remediations you don't need in there. But as of today, there's not a way to do that.
Question here from Scott. Is the integration with Hoodoo working good? Assets are not being updated and Hoodoo records might be a Hoodoo issue. Yeah, Hoodoo built that integration. So I actually have no clue because it's not in our control how that integration works. I have not heard anything that would make me think anything has changed. So I would talk to Hoodoo's team about it if you're experiencing an issue.
Richard's asking, is it possible to add the ability to search by a saved asset search in the missing patches report or vulnerable systems report? Currently, the only way to search is by customer. Yeah, so that's a good question. That came up recently during our open submissions for the community driven development track, and it is something we are looking at adding. And I get it would be so much easier if you could just use a saved asset search in there. So yeah, I think you're likely to see that sometime in Q4 for sure.
Question here from Jeremy. Have you ever considered adding an API object that returns the mapping table? Example, the value of dropdowns comes through as ID numbers, but the ability to pull the text. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yes, I have campaigned for a new endpoint called custom fields that has all the mappings for custom fields. Yes, that is the solution there. And I would like to do that.
Harvey's asking, we currently enjoy our PAX 8 integration for billing. Is there something similar available for Google Workspace billing? No, and not unless you basically get, I don't know if you can get those licenses through, I think you can only get them through Google. Does anybody resell those, Ian? Do you know? I don't think you can get them through PAX8, right?
Sorry, I was looking up a thing for another question somebody asked.
That's okay. Google Workspace licenses, you need to get those direct, right?
As far as I know, yeah, I don't
Yeah,
think
so
anybody distributes them.
yeah, so I don't think there's no, I don't think it's not on our roadmap. I know that for sure. We don't get requests for Google Workspace too often. The vast majority of folks are definitely using O365 for their customers, and those licenses do come through PAX8. So that might be something you want to look at potentially in the future. But yeah, I don't see us adding that the Google Workspace stuff specifically.
I got a question here from Daniel. Do you have a link to what the Azure AD Connect function within Syncro is capable of? Yes, I will paste the link right now in all the places. But long story short, it syncs your Azure AD users to Syncro contacts and pulls data from Azure AD into Syncro. So uses Azure AD to update various contact fields as well as the license fields, which enables you to bill against your Azure AD licenses. It also pulls in things like Microsoft Secure Score, etc. But that's all in the documentation.
Craig's asking, can you now beat Acronis direct pricing if I'm over 2K spend? Hey, Craig, shoot me an email, andy@syncromsp.com, and we'll figure that out for you. Ian, someone else you flagged it. What about a set customer field API call for updating customer custom fields?
Are you wanting to update the custom field itself, like as an object, or are you wanting to update the value in a customer custom field? If you want to update the value, you can already do that. You would do a customer, let me pull up the API. You would go to customer and you would do a put, and actually let me show you in a get. So in the get, there's a properties field, which is a JSON object, and within this are all the custom fields. If you put a custom field in there with a value, when you do a put, it will actually put that custom field value there. And you could see an example by doing a get on one of the customers that has that custom field set. So one of the nuances in the API is it will not show you custom fields if there's no value in the custom field. So if you have a text field and it's blank, it will not come through in the API, which is not necessarily ideal, but that's just the way it works right now. So I would do a get with someone that has the field that you want to update already set. You'll see how it's formatted, and then you can do a put on another customer, and it will update that field.
Ben's asking a follow-up to what he was asking before. He says, we would like the ability to add customer-specific self-serve scripts and resources into the customer portal under their login. Is this on the roadmap? So when you say resources, I don't know if you mean like KB articles and stuff like that, but that portion you can do today. If you go to our documentation center, you can make stuff customer-specific, and that will show up in their customer portal. With scripts, no, it's not on the roadmap. One thing that you can do today is you can flag a script to show up in people's portals, but the script will be global, meaning it will show up in anybody's portal who has access to see assets or endpoints. Having customer specific ones would definitely be cool. Not something on the roadmap today, but I'd add that as a feature request in our feature request category in the community forums. That's a good suggestion.
Oh, sorry. Were you going to take this up next one?
No, it's good. Go ahead.
Well, you marked it. The one from Craig.
Oh, yeah. Is there a way to run a delayed script on startup of a server, for instance? I have a script, but need to run it upon an online trigger, but delay it a few minutes. It's not like a native way in Syncro to do it, but what I'd recommend there is just put a pause command for 3 minutes or whatever, or a sleep command in your PowerShell script. The other thing you can do too is with the custom, the variable system that we have, you can even just do like put it in a block, like if it has a delay, delay it by X. If it doesn't, just run it immediately. And then you could have in your variables like different amounts of time, and it could just default to none. So if you ever want to add a delay to any script, that should be pretty easy to do. But yeah, I would handle it that way.
A slightly more work version of that that's a little more precise, because you don't know how many programs are starting up on the machine, etc. So there's going to be variability in how long it takes for a machine to be fully started up. Is you can use the task scheduler. So like your PowerShell script could basically schedule a task in the task scheduler for when and there's like a field where you can say like when the machine is done starting up. So basically after, it queues it for after. And you could schedule your PowerShell script to run using that. So your script, instead of running a script, it would basically schedule a script using task scheduler.
Just keep in mind, the only thing with that is that you won't get the results of that back into Syncro. It's basically handling it in Windows outside of Syncro.
Yep.
Gary's asking, is there any thoughts on or plans on adding a script library function? To clarify, we want to include a set of custom function libraries that we build and maintain, so we don't have to update 50 scripts that use the same function. No plans for that right now, Gary. I do get what you're asking for. I think that would be actually pretty cool, but no plans.
You can do that. So you would have a PowerShell script that is its own script that has a bunch of, it's basically a class that has its own functions, right? You would maintain that in GitHub or wherever you want to maintain that. Then what you would do in any script where you want to use those functions is you would basically import that module. So there's a couple ways you could do that. One, you could in your script download the thing from GitHub and then click and then type import, or you could include it as a required file in the script and it would download that for you. So
yeah, that's an interesting idea. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. Jonathan's asking, I like the way you put this. My Syncro life would be really great if we could, number one, automate on tickets that are resolved, send an email. So Jonathan, with that specifically, 2 comments. One, if you go in the ticket preferences, you can turn on emails for resolved tickets. If you go in the admin settings and then go to the PDF email templates, there is a template for resolved. So they can get ones when tickets are resolved automatically. 2, previously, we never allowed any other automations in ticket automations based on a resolve status because of the way our automations work. They run every hour. And basically, it's just going to keep firing because there's nothing changing. The resolve status would stay true, keeps firing over and over and over. So you'd have to add a custom field and do other weird things. However, recently we added the ability to set automations to run once only. So I think what we're likely going to do, I don't have an ETA for this, would be allow you to use resolved as a resolve status as a condition, but force it so it can only run once and it won't repeat itself over and over and over. So that's something you might see. But in terms of just sending an email for resolve, you can do that today. The second thing you're asking for is automate a way to add CCs to ticket types and change the UX on email ticket notes to put customer name instead of check-in or customer reply. Yeah, actually, that one specifically, do me a favor, go and put that in the community forum in the feature request category and ping me on it, because I know we've been cleaning up that check-in and customer name piece, and we just need to grab it in a couple other areas. Automating CCs is a super cool idea. I like that one quite a bit. I just need to think if we would need to lock it to internal contacts you already have in Syncro, allow you to send it to anybody. I don't know if there's security implications there or not, but I like that idea too. I think that's a really good idea. Harvey's asking, on open RMM alerts, can we make the check types sortable? I will make that suggestion on your behalf, Harvey. I know you can search by RMM alert types, but yeah, there's no reason that columns shouldn't be sortable, and that's a good suggestion.
You mentioned, Jeremy says, you mentioned variables. Is there a timeline on global variables in Syncro you can share?
I can, but it's not a good one. I know that we tried to get it through as part of the community-driven development track, and it got kicked for size. So it is something that we still want to do, but it's just not going to be part of that program. So it'd have to go in the normal roadmap, and it's not on it currently. For folks that don't know, that's basically having, like in the admin settings somewhere, a variable that any script can reference. It's not, doesn't live within that script. It lives within your Syncro instance. So something like a like your global nav key or something like that, something you're deploying that has like an instance key or something would be an example of what that is.
Yeah, you can theoretically do it in the same way that I mentioned with like a script that you download as a PowerShell file. You could also theoretically create a custom or an asset custom field and set it to the same exact value on every single customer. And then that would essentially act like a global variable. You could pull it in through platform variables. I recognize that's a little bit of a hack, or a lot of a bit of a hack.
Philip is adding a clarification. I want to change the subject line of estimate template. Okay, so yes, subject line on notifications and email templates currently aren't editable. I know that's something that we're looking at because we get asked for that a lot. So I don't have an ETA for it, but it's definitely something that we would like to do. Yeah, I hear you on that one. Craig's asking, will Syncro ever have an online alert like the offline alert? I don't want to say probably not, but you'd have to be real specific with that, because like you wouldn't want a laptop firing all the time, or like a server. Usually if you have a critical machine offline, you're monitoring it for when it comes back online. But yeah, throw that up in the community forum and let's see if other folks chime in. I'd be curious if other people want to see that too. Here's like a super gross hack you can do in the meantime. Because of our scripts basically will queue up if an endpoint is offline, and they'll run when it comes back online. One of the things you can do is you can run custom alerts in a script, and you could fire and say, hey, this endpoint's online. And then you could have automated remediation pick it up and notify you however you want to be notified. So if you push that script to an offline asset, theoretically, when it comes back online, it will fire and alert you.
Question. It would be nice if scripts running from task scheduler could load the Syncro module. Any plans to allow that easier? I mean, technically you can do that. The Syncro module is a PowerShell script that's actually on the computer, and you could load it in any PowerShell script, technically. You would need to know where that module is, but it's pretty easy to find.
Anonymous user saying about the estimate filter question, perhaps you can have an estimate status field open approved invoice, then show that field on the estimate list display. So there, yeah, I'm gonna answer this in two ways. Ian, I'm gonna steal your screen here.
I was sharing.
That's okay. On the estimate page, there is a status here, like green check marks are approved. This means that there's an invoice been made. I kind of agree, though, that I don't personally like having to memorize icons, and it'd be nice if you could filter for this too. So yeah, I think that's a really good suggestion. Makes sense to me.
We haven't answered any YouTube or LinkedIn questions.
Oh, that's I've still not seen them on my end.
But go ahead, answer the one you're going to answer.
Harvey's asking for Splash Top, we'd like the tray icon to show that a tech is connected, or more specifically, which tech is connected by name after the 5-second bubble goes away. So Harvey, unfortunately, you can show the name of who's connected in the policy. You can either say it's your company name or the technician name when you connect. However, that bubble will go away, and there's not a way to keep it static. Unfortunately, that's not a Syncro thing. Basically, with the RMM variant of Splash Top that RMMs get to use, it's all controlled by them. We can basically say, use this name when you connect. But once the connection occurs, there's very little that we have control over from that point. So unfortunately, that's not something we'd be able to do. Splash Top would have to like expose that as an option. And then optionally, if they did that, we'd be able to add it. Ian, Harvey's asking, any new features or functionality coming to the Syncro team plan that are on the roadmap?
Yes. Well, there's lots of functionality coming in general, not just on the team plan. I think Kristen is gonna post, like we've been doing quarterly roadmap posts. So if you go and I think Kristen will probably post one soon. So I don't want to steal her thunder, but in the community forums, you should probably look forward to, you could go look back at some of the roadmap posts, but also we'll post another one for like Q1.
Philip's asking if I can point him to the Acronis price list, which is the new usage level discounts. Yeah, if you go into the App Center in your Syncro instance, go to the Acronis app card, and there'll be a link there for all sorts of different things. One of those will be pricing. It's a page in our community forum, so just make sure that you're logged into that page. And your login is identical. It's SSL basically, so it's your same login to your Syncro instance will get you into the community forum. And then Ian, it's all you on the YouTube questions.
Yeah, there's a lot. Any plans on adding AI to Syncro like Atera just did? Is it possible to give Microsoft Copilot or Power Apps access to ticketing data to try and create a KV that has previous solutions available for text? We've been experimenting with a lot of stuff. I will say that our stance on it has been that we don't want to add AI things for marketing buzz. Like, there's a lot of things that we could put in there that don't actually generate any value, and frankly, you could just go to ChatGPT and do the same thing. Like, there's not really any advantage to it being in Syncro. For example, like, we could make a thing that makes it so you can write a PowerShell script with ChatGPT, but like, you could just go to ChatGPT and ask it to do the same thing. So there's not really any value added there. And we would, if we did something like that, I'd be like, okay, like, that's just a marketing tactic. So what we have been doing is playing with some stuff internally, not just for MSPs, but also for our team, to try to get an idea of how we could actually add some real value there, and do something that would be pretty cool. So there are some experiments happening, nothing imminent to share.
I think that's Ian's nice way of saying that virtually everything that exists in the MSP space today with AI is shit. Like, it's just garbage trash to try to market and sell.
There's some cool stuff. There's some cool stuff. I think what MSP Bots does is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a little different, but I agree. That's a cool app.
Yeah. What else? It would be nice if the Syncro platform had the ability to remotely power on a computer via Pixie. Right. Pixie booting.
Oh.
I believe there's a wake on LAN script in the community library. Pixie booting is pretty unreliable. It's been a while since I looked at Pixie booting, but we did for Tech Suite back in the day. We did a lot of stuff with it, and I think it was pretty hit or miss, like worse than wake on LAN. So I hear you. I think it's probably not worth the engineering resources required to do that for the number of times that it would actually work.
Question from Harvey: is there a way to get CC'd on tickets for VIP contacts, not customers? For example, if a customer CEO or CFO puts in a ticket, I'd like to get a heads up and follow tickets instead of having to hear about it by accident. That's a super good suggestion, Harvey. The answer right now is no. However, two things. Right now we have customer tags, and I'm pretty sure the next place you're going to see that show up is probably contacts. So one of the ways you would be able to do it eventually is by putting like a VIP tag on those specific contacts, and then within the automation, the ticket automation, you could say if customer is X or contact is X and it's a VIP, then go ahead and flag you. What I'd like you to do though is, if you want to put in a feature request in our community forums and tag me on it, I think what would be really cool is we have conditions and ticket automations for customer, but we don't have it for contact. And I love the use case you just added. That's a super good one. So I don't see why we couldn't add contact to that. I think that's a great suggestion because there's a lot you could do with that. So yeah, definitely suggest that. I love that one. Anything else over your side?
Yeah. I need to read this out loud for me to process it. I'm a new Syncro user, about 2 months from CT, I'm assuming Connecticut, coming from ConnectWise. We are a QuickBooks desktop user and have multiple tax codes in Connecticut, one for labor, 1%, and one for goods, 6.35%. ConnectWise handled the taxing by grouping the taxes and subtotaling them. I spoke to Adam several times and he basically couldn't find a solution without going to development. I haven't heard back since. I see on the Facebook that other users in Connecticut are facing the same issue. This is a must to get resolved for Connecticut users, as the sync only brings in the line item without tax. What can I do to assist getting this resolved sooner rather than later? So you're saying that there's different line items that have different tax rates. So labor has its own tax rate and another goods has its own tax rate. Sorry, taxes and QuickBooks like are brain breaking things for me. I need to like really think through them.
I don't think there is a way to do that now, though. I do think that would be an engineering task.
I think that's true. I think that is true. Yeah.
Well, while Ian's looking that up, we've got about 5 minutes left. I'm out of questions on my end, so if anybody has any last minute ones, fire them off now. Now's your chance.
Question from Joe that you can maybe answer. Any update on being able to use multiple domains for receiving and responding in Syncro?
For receiving, you can do this today. You can set up as many mailboxes as you want for whatever you want. Yeah, for incoming. For outgoing, there is no updates. It's not something that's on the immediate radar. It's definitely something we get asked about. Basically, multiple email addresses for outgoing, especially for stuff like invoices, where normally you don't want those types of questions going back into your text for tickets. You want them going to your billing folks. So yeah, we understand the need. It's like I said, it's not currently on the roadmap, but it's definitely something that we'd like to investigate and potentially build out.
I don't think there's an answer on the tax thing right now. I do think that requires engineering.
Philip's asking, will there be billing automation for Acronis planned similar to PAX 8? I don't want to say, well, you know what, it's fine. Yes, it's something that we definitely want to do. I don't have an ETA on it, but it will be very similar to PAX 8 in terms of just bringing over usage on a per customer basis, and automatically calculating things like your, storage usage. And if you even have like a quota where it's like, hey, I cover up to 500 gigabytes, I want to bill them for anything over that, it would handle those types of things. I just don't have an ETA on that, but it's definitely something we'll be doing at some point, Philip. You got anything else on your side, Ian? I'm clear on mine.
Any Syncro integrations coming soon? Field backup reports, etc. There are many vendors building Syncro integrations. Separate from us. I talk to vendors like almost every week that are building integrations with us. So yes, lots. In terms of integrations we're building, yes, but I can't share them yet. So just wait a little bit.
Fauzi is saying, we would like to test Proofpoint. How can we go about doing that? That's easy, Fauzi. Just go in your App Center in Syncro and look for Proofpoint, and there's a provision button there. Basically, when you spin up a customer, well, two things. One, as an MSP, one of the cool things about Proofpoint's email security platform is that you will get 50 NFR licenses to use at your MSP level. You can't deploy them for customers. You can deploy them at your level. So every Syncro customer can spin up Proofpoint and actually use it for their business at no cost. On top of that, when you spin up a customer, you can spin them up as a 30-day trial if you want to do a trial for them specifically. So it's not like your whole account is in this trial state. Individual customers are in a trial state. Acronis actually works the same way. So yeah, just press the provision button. You'll get an email in a couple minutes. Be good to go. Will you ever have an integration with Synex TD for licensing of MS, etc.? Not probably that we would build. I know Pax8 built the big one that we use that most folks use. I think.
Ingram has one too, but TD Synnex has never, as
Yeah,
far as I remember, reached out to me. They would probably need to build it.
Yeah, I know Ingram recently built one too, I think.
Yeah, they did.
Fauzi's asking, is security awareness training included with that as well? It is. So when I say NFR, it's for all the essentials proof point line, security awareness training as well. And then if you put a customer under trial, same thing, it would apply to security awareness training and their essentials licenses.
Okay, we do have more questions, but I think we're out of time.
All right, well, thanks, everybody. We'll post the date for the next one. Should probably be another 3 to 4 weeks from today. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
All right, thanks, everybody. This was fun.